thing is, I've noticed, John, they don't really have much disable going on here from Motivate, right? Like, you've got all the stuns from the Shaman. You've got Vortex from Storm. That's pretty much your stuns right now for Motivate.Trust. On the other side of things, I mean, TNC Predator, they may not have so much of their own either, but you've got an Invoker and a Pango. A Rolling Thunder, going for like, what, 13 seconds? Invoker has many, many ways of providing a stun. I don't know, that does worry me a little bit here for Motivate.Trust, and I do appreciate the Invoker pick as well. Like, it gives you a great way of cancelling those shackles from a distance with Tornado. Obviously, the Invoker enjoys the Storm matchup to boot. I'm kind of liking where TNC's gone with this draft so far, John. Early game seems covered by Enchweaver. Their laning stage looks powerful. Their mid game looks quite powerful with Invoker Pango. It's one thing with the Bloodseeker as well. Like, I realize it's a great game for the Bloodseeker, right? Like, against Weaver Pango, Rupture's always going to be good. But it seems like another one of those games where that's all the Bloodseeker is going to be offering, is a Rupture. Yeah, maybe you can throw some Blood Right, deny some area of the map, but I don't know. It doesn't feel good, John. Not to me.
Yeah, it's one of the things for the Bloodseeker. My concern for TNC, though, is kind of your same concern for Motivate.Trust. If you said Motivate.Trust lacks control, TNC's two supports don't have hold. Unless, the Enchantress manages to get a nice Centaur creep or Golem creep and kind of stun from distance. None of them hold a Storm. The Invoker could hold a Storm with Cold Snap or EMP Tornado, burn the man away. But if the Storm manages to dodge it out, you have no hold for the Storm either, unless you get a good angle on a roll. So it's also a bit tricky for TNC to fully punish the Fearless Storm and to hold anyone down. Like, it's all down to the Invoker. And when it comes down to it, Invoker versus Shadow Shaman is hold. You tend to prefer having your support be the one to be able to set up, because that means the support can dictate the game. It's not reliant on a mid who might still be farming for you to have the control for the fight. Motivate.Trust will have more presence just from the Shadow Shaman smoking around. Maybe by the time that blink is up, it feels a lot better as well. Motivate.Trust do close out with the Night Stalker, so that's our Massa here. And now we have a toy Bloodseeker 1. I mean, I was liking Motivate's draft until we have a pause 1 Bloodseeker. If TNC gets something that's scaling here, they could really just stall out and win towards like a late game timing if they wanted to.
And they will, John. They'll go down the Wraith King route, which does feel very nice into the draft of Motivate, because now that initial burst that you're going to provide, like, what you want, just pop the Dark Ascension, rush in, maybe zip in with the Storm and just blow up this Wraith King. Suddenly you're going to have to deal with the secondary life, and there's so much turn potential here from TNC with their own draft. I agree with you. I hate position 1 Bloodseeker. I mean, I was rambling on about position 3 Bloodseeker, John, and how bad that is. Pos 1 Bloodseeker, I have absolutely zero faith in it. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. I think TNC have a better draft, John. Just purely based off Pos 1 Bloodseeker, I don't believe in it. I don't think it'll work. I would have rather Motivate.Trust just go for an anti-mage, John. That's how bad I think Pos 1 Bloodseeker really is.
Yeah, it's... Look, I still feel like Bloodseeker, if you play it Pos 1, you got to change up your playstyle. It's switch your itemization, but I don't think we're going to be seeing that from Toy. If we do see something different, I'd be pleasantly surprised, and we'll see whether or not that works. But, the usual build-up Maelstrom just doesn't feel great. And overall, even with all those control issues from TNC's draft, I feel like they have a draft that can just hold out, build up. They've got good minus armor with Weaver, Wraith King, with the Desolator down the line. 2 lives in Wraith King makes it very hard to manage. You don't have the best mana burn at all on Motivate.Trust, so TNC should be looking fairly secure. And they have a Yoa special Invoker, as you mentioned, Mike. Mid matchup against Storms, pretty good for the Invoker, very manageable. So I'm liking TNC's draft as well, Mike. I'm on the same page here.
Well, let's see how it goes, John. I mean, again, both teams need the victory right here, right now. TNC, I think, more so than Motivate.Trust. We'll see how it pans out, though. Game number 1, it should be a very, very fun series here between these two teams as we do go ahead and get into it. It's funny how you and I, we just kind of see that Pos 1 Bloodseeker and straight away we're just like, yeah, no, that's not it. That's,
Nah.
The thing is, John, we've seen it so many times. Like, you and I, we've been casting long enough that we've seen multiple games of Bloodseeker Pos 1, and I feel like it's never won. I can't remember the last time I saw Pos 1 Bloodseeker actually win a game. This might be the first one, John, if it happens.
Yeah, every time you say this might be the one, Mike, it tends to not work out. You've cursed multiple teams for that kind of saying, so you better measure your words there. But yeah, I remember a time where we'd have Drew on the DPC. Remember him? And he'd love his Life Stealer and Blood Seeker. And
Yeah.
I'd rather Life Stealer over the Blood Seeker from Drew every single time, I guess. Oh, Toy.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be
stunned.
slowed up and stunned up a little bit. With the enchant, Febby should be able to get a lot of damage, but Toy ultimately is going to be okay. They're unable to catch him out with his pants really down. So Toy is able to walk away here. And with that, they are going to have to go ahead and deny their own ward off immediately, as it's pretty obvious the ward was there. So they'll just go ahead and deny it right now, thanks to Carlo. And it should just be an even 2-for-2 trade. I doubt Motivate.Trust goes for the fight with their kind of lineup.
Yeah, it's not going to be feeling good. Again, a bit of a lack of control. Not the greatest level 1 timings from MTG's side. They are still looking to contest the runes, though. Let's see if they find a little extra here.
Well, they actually are going to try. I mean, you've got Tigger and Toy there, I suppose, and it is still a strong combination. So it is actually going to be a 3-for-1 trade here for Motivate.Trust. TNC maybe just kind of dropping the ball. They're going to lose one banner rune for themselves. But let's see how the laning stage breaks out. And this time around, we're going to start with the bot lane, Jonathan. You've got Massa and Boomboy there on the Pugna Nightstalker. Of course, they're going to be against Young God on that position 1 Wraith King, and Febby should be there on the Enchantress as that pos 5. And I'm very curious to see how Febby goes in this hero, because you keep telling me that Ench isn't very good right now, and, well, I was blabbing on about it when the patch first came out, John. I thought Ench was really good. We'll see what Febby thinks.
I think Ench is good. I don't think it's bad, but it feels like when we're talking about neutrals, I still think Doom is the big one with great neutrals to pick up. Febby should still have a good time though, Mike. Once he has a good creep to pick up, he should be able to control lane, harass really well from range. He could go for impetus to have really big shots up against the Nightstalker, up against the Pugna. There's not much they can do to stop that. And there is a point where Boomboy can start being more disruptive with Decrep up. Disarm Febby, disarm the Raid King. They're going to have to make that choice whether or not they want to stop the harass or the farm, and that still benefits TNC massively. It should be a pretty stable farming lane. Maybe when nighttime comes, you get a little bit more presence for Massa, but until Dark Ascension is up in full, it doesn't feel like they'll ever be able to really threaten Young God unless he severely oversteps and gets caught by a couple of Nether Blasts.
Well, speaking of threatening, John, it looks like Gacha Boy's been threatened quite a lot here mid lane. Yoe, of course, on that Invoker against the Storm, and we did talk about this. It does feel like Yoe probably will have an advantage in this 1v1 matchup. You are already seeing so much harassment going back the way of Gacha as he's trying to get a little bit aggressive here. Yoe not actually going to pop the Mango and trying to go for the Tornado. In fact, never mind, he does now, but does feel like it was a little bit too late. So Yoe, he will not be able to commit for the kill. Gacha still struggling quite a bit though.
He's struggling in terms of harassment. He is still finding some very good farm here, though, not being slowed down too much by the Invoker. And he's timing his aggression well. He uses up his full bottle, Water Runes spawn up, they're both going to be able to trade. Gacha Boy gets a little bit more value, of course, with a bottle up. Yoe, Invoker, not a bottle hero. And this should remain stable in that way. The kill threat of the Invoker does grow higher, but you have to remember Motivate.Trust does have decent support rotations that can come out with a Shadow Shaman. We'll see if they will commit that. It does feel like Gacha Boy is going to need a little bit more help in this lane to get an earlier timing on that snowball.
Yeah. Of course, that final lane, John. Top lane. Toy and Tig are going to be against Bok and Carlo, and you've already talked about this laning phase and how the Shackles and Bloodright could work very effectively as Gacha mid lane. He might drop. Yoe's going to have the vision with the Observer Ward. Yoe does indeed end up securing first blood here on the Invoker. But John, I should continue about this top lane. You did talk about the Shackles Bloodright combination. We haven't really seen it much yet. Do you think that Motivate should just outright win this top lane, or do you think TNC has a decent chance of turning it?
I think TNC is really mobile enough to just jump for one hero that isn't held up. Like, they go for the Shackles again. Bok has room to kind of harass. Carlo will have Shikuchi when he's off silence, and they can't really fully commit for a kill. The best ideal here for Motivate.Trust is just focus in on that farming. Toy is killing it in the CS right now, having a great time, 20-0, basically uncontested in this lane. Just have that smooth farm up. Don't worry about the aggression. Get that initial buildup you need on Bloodseeker. Maybe by the time you hit 6, you could start to consider some rupture plays. But before that, like, catching one of these heroes just opens up another hero to be aggressive and just cuts off your aggression massively.
They're still trying to abuse that Bloodright, but now Tigger's going to be the one to be chased down because they've got so much damage here. on the side of TNC and Tigger. He is still healing up, but not quite enough. Bok eventually going to be able to take the kill with the swashbuckle, and Motivate.Trust currently 2 kills behind now. Still seems like they are going to be in a bit of a struggle here going into this mid game.
I mean, they're getting really good farm out on Toy and Gotcha Boy, but they have to watch how far they push themselves in the lanes. TNC has a lot of early presence. They've got a lot of damage coming through, especially on that top lane. So you kind of just want to take it easy on your safe lane. You want to just have Gotcha Boy also build into double null before getting too aggressive, get his level 6. At that point, you can maybe play off the back of your Storm with his mobility, play around with your Shadow Shaman and his Hex and Shackles, and just follow through with a Storm. But beyond that, just focus on farm. You want this Bloodseeker to be as fat as possible, get a fast Maelstrom, run around the map, and just be this menace with a lot of magic damage. And it's going to take a little bit more time until we reach that point in the safe lane, at least.
Tigger trying to get aggressive here on Carlo, but Carlo's more than happy to fight back. No problems here for the Weaver. Meanwhile, mid lane, Febby's going to rotate. Garcher's out of mana. Oh, he's probably just gone here, Febby. He'll be the one to take the kill along with the Warpine Raider. You saw Boomboy try to rotate on the Pugner to help out, but it is still just support Pugner, and there's just not much he can do against an Ench.
Yeah, he can't really stop these rotations. It's you wanting the Shadow Shaman more than the Pugna. The Pugna doesn't contribute too much to this lane. He could maybe drop a Nether Ward, mitigate some magic damage or spell damage, but not enough to help the Storm. A 3-0 start, TNC looking really good. Fine form, Yoe on his Invoker again, just having a smooth ride. Going for the Witchblade build-up, so wants to be aggressive. They do manage to find Carlo, diving just a little bit deep, and that is a big benefit. The Toy starting to reach that level 6 mark. We do have that threat now coming through from the Bloodseeker, and they will go for Shackles up here.
Yeah, they are certainly trying to abuse this Blood Right Shackle combination, as now Toy is going to go for a bit of a chase. Nice Shackles out, but Bok is going to be just fine with the shield crash. And Toy doesn't have the level 6 yet for the Rupture. Now, had he had so, would have been an entirely different story, but not quite the case for the Bloodseeker quite yet. Still, I suppose the free farm going to be just as good anyway. Problem is now mid lane, TNC is starting to push with this 5-minute siege creep timing. They are going to have Femi to kind of move into the mid lane to help out, and I think this is a very smart move from any Enchantress player. Just rotate during that 5-minute siege creep as Yoe is going to try and move in, but Garcher's going to go for the fight. He's going to be very careful. There aren't many heroes around, but they are still trying to focus down this Invoker, as now Massa's going to show up. Do they have the detection? They do. Yoe still dropping quite low and eventually will drop. So Motivate.Trust cost them a few rotations, but they are able to secure a very important kill.
Yeah, not quite done yet as well. It's still looking for Bok here.
They'll try. Massa gonna go for the chase, has a Mango up with a Void in 3 seconds, and Bok should eventually just fall to this as he will go down. Massa able to pick up another. Gacha even hands the tip over.
Big rotation, that finally pays off in a big way. Tree to tree, evening out the kill board. You are giving a lot of room out to Young God. He is still farming decently, but he's not farming as much as you'd expect a Raid King to be. So you're happy enough leaving that lane. Boomboy can just start playing around with Decrep to slow down the Raid King at this point. And you're giving Toy a ton of room up top. He does have Rupture up here, Mike, if he does want to play around with it now. So the Bloodseeker is ready to go, and the Maelstrom's not too far off here as well.
Or he may do so right now. Tigger gonna try and move in. Rupture is out onto Bok, and they're trying to secure the Pango, but he's happy to fight back. And again, with the shield crash, it's very challenging to get the damage off against the Pangolier. So first Rupture of the game gonna be kind of wasted there by Toy. I suppose you could make the argument it was used defensively, but it didn't quite look that way.
Yeah, I mean, it cuts off any aggression from TNC, but now you have a window where Motivate.Trust doesn't have that big spell. They do have it on pretty low cooldown, so it's not going to take too long for it to be back up. But your mana pool isn't the greatest as well. You're only going to have enough for that Rupture, not enough for the Blood Right, not enough for the Blood Rage as well if you want that. And that does make TNC feel a lot safer. And for TNC, they did have the strong start, but they are losing out in creep score. The side Motivate.Trust has just been able to farm up a lot better. And that is showing in the net worth as well, with Toy still number 1, Masa not too far behind, and then everyone else kind of tied up, including Gotcha Boy. But your Storm now is at triple null. This is the point where Gotcha Boy can just play aggressively, look for opportunities, has the Haste Rune bottled up as well. So you're starting to reach this spike now for Motivate, where the mid game is really, really strong, and that's where they need to start finding objectives off the back of it. Perhaps they just wait out for this level 6 on Tigger. After that, take a fight, push a tower, rinse and repeat.
They could go right now. The Tigger gonna try and have a look around. He will find Carlo, or rather Carlo's gonna find him. They do have Gacha Boy around if they need to try and turn, but it looks like Carlo is just gonna happily back off. Gacha does actually get scattered out by the swarm that was thrown onto Tigger. It is nighttime as well here for Massa, and he does have Dark Ascension once again on the Night Stalker, so you could certainly start moving. The Young God, probably not the target they really want, but to be fair, he does not have Reincarnation up quite yet, so you could try for the Wraith King. I believe he has saved the skill point just in case he needs it though. Looks like for now, Young God just going to hang around the jungle and just play quite safely, but Massa may feel confident to start getting aggressive rather soon. See, we'll move in onto Young God now, but is not going to bother popping Dark Ascension yet. A bit of chip damage over to the Wraith King, but that's about it. No help around for Massa to really capitalize off the positioning of Young God. It seems like Motivate, they're still more than happy to just keep the farm going, maybe for the next 5 minutes or so.
I think you do want to play a little bit faster on this lineup for Motivate. You worry about far more up against a Wraith King. It does feel like the Wraith King just counteracts that burst winner that you mentioned from the draft there. And, you know, Yoa, despite that death on mid, is still doing great in the Invoker. He does have his Witchblade up. Motivate.Trust will smoke up with Gacha Boy and Boom Boy. They do have the Life Drain ready, so they can sustain Gacha Boy in these long jumps. We'll see if they find a good target here.
No, they're going to try top lane. We've seen this before. Fabi and Young God, though, this time going to be around top lane, so much bigger targets to try and aim down. But TNT, they're going to bring more heroes up. Bok is also going to be there with the Rolling Thunder, so they've got to be a little bit more careful here on Motivate. A cheeky blood right there onto Young God, but it's not going to amount to too much yet. Rolling Thunder, though, being pump faked as Tigger. Not going to smell Carlo in this position. Massa, he's going to show up on the Night Stalker now with the Dark Ascension. Blood Rider's there. Gacha will go for the Vortex back into the Wraith King, but now they found the Pango with the Crippling Fear Bok. He can't get the Rolling Thunder off in time. So Gacha, he'll just keep going onto Yoe. Life Train will be there to help him out. Massa, he's the one that picks up another kill onto Carlo as Yoe is just going to TP out of there. And so Motivate.Trust, they make the team fight work. TNC just unable to fight back without the Pango.
It's a big first kill to find. Taking away that Rolling Thunder takes away a lot of control from TNC. And we talked about this from Draft Mike. Their lineup doesn't have the best hold. Their supports don't have the greatest hold. Pangolier, Rolling Thunder is your big bet. You do have a single target stun. The Raid Fire Blast not going to be enough in these wider engagements. So Motivate.Trust just understands that, reads the targets really well. Gacha Boy.
Tornado is not going to land from Yoe. Gacha still being targeted, does get stunned up, but he still has plenty of mana to get away. Instead, they'll just aim down Boom Boy. It's still thumping here for TNC, and of course they can just turn this into a tier 1 mid tower push because they have the Dark Troll Summoner.
Yeah, get the Skellies out with the rally. It's not going to take long for this little army to get through it. If only you had the skeletons from Young God as well, then you'd have a real show. There you go. Look at that tower. It's gone, Mike. So quick.
So many Skellies. TNC now feeling very confident with that mid tower gone. Are going to try and aim down bot lane. Toy, he's the biggest target on the map right now if they could find him. Just picking up the Maelstrom now, but will run the right way. Does go directly north instead of going towards the west into the oh, never mind, Toy. Oh, he second guesses himself there and he is going to pay for it. He almost got away, but at the end of the day, just wanted to go back into the triangle for the farm and does end up paying for it.
Yeah, to be fair, there is a massive ancient stack that you kind of want to clear out with the Maelstrom. It's going to be given over the way of TNC instead. Good gold for them to find. And Motivate.Trust starting to lose some ground here. They haven't been able to take an objective. They took that fight up top. They couldn't take the top tier 1 in exchange. And, you know, they dropped rewards in the middle of the fight for more damage. You kind of want that for your tower push here. In comparison to TNC, where tower push is coming out from the Enchantress creeps. It's coming out from the Wraith King skeletons. Very low committal spells to use for that push. And very easy for them to just constantly rinse and repeat and start shutting this map down. Motivate, top jungle's not as safe. Triangle, there's some forward wards here from TNC. They're able to just constantly spot out. Motivate will smoke up though. Let's see if they find a good angle here with Gotcha Boy.
Well, they haven't tried for Roshan yet here, Motivate.Trust, and they might just now. I mean, Tigger's had the Serpent Wards up for quite a long time, but it seems like they may have the right idea here on TNC, as Febby is still hanging around. He'll get a creep going, but is he going to send it into the Roshan pit? He's been very good at checking the Roshan recently here, Febby, but he might just leave it at the last second. Because Roshan is still going, and it might just go the way of Motivate for free. Because I've seen Febby, he's checked so many times this game one. The one time he forgets about it is the one time they take it.
And that's a big take for Motivate. Aegis up on Gotcha Boy, he can just freely jump in, have the security of his team backing him up for a secondary life. Doesn't quite have the full Orchid up yet, so his control in the jumps still isn't the biggest outside of the Vortex, but this does allow much more leeway for Motivate to get aggressive. TNC, I don't think they're in a bad position despite those recent losses. Again, they've got better control of the map. They have these forward wards that help them invade the triangle. They've taken top tier 1, mid tier 1. Map control's looking good. You're still farming up well on Young God. And Yo is still building up into his Orchid as well. So you still have some item spikes to wait for, but Motivate.Trust aren't going to wait for that, of course. They will smoke up again. Not smoking up with Gotcha Boy this time, but smoking up his tree with Masa. Dark Ascension at the ready.
Yeah, down towards the bot side, they might find Febby and Bok. Febby, gonna be scouted out by Massa. They want the Pango rather than the Inch, but they might just be able to find both. Bok, he's gonna go for the Rolling Thunder back in onto Tigger and Boomboy, but there's your up out from Toy. That's gonna make life very hard for Bok, but he'll TP out. Instead, they'll try to focus down Febby. They've even popped the Dark Ascension trying to find Yoe in the backside, but he's gonna be fine with the Ghost Walk. As Febby, he is still walking away. They will eventually pop the Vortex and hopefully take him down. But it's a massive commitment from Motivate.Trust. And it just doesn't feel worth it.
No, definitely not. Great escape out there from Bok, timing his TP perfectly to just get out of that rupture situation. And Masa with no dust kind of cost him. Like, you need detection up front. He had it in his backpack. Didn't switch it out in time to kind of catch the Invoker. If he found Yoa there, this would feel a lot better. But they don't quite find it. Good cut of losses there from TNC to back off in the nick of time. Only losing Febby, not the biggest target to go for, and still finding some good farm on the Wraith King. Young God starting to overtake the Bloodseekers. You tend to expect
Toy.
Skelky's Wolf.
This is where that Bloodseeker, John, starts to feel really bad. And that's the wrong jungle for Toy to be farming in, but he just doesn't feel safe with his own triangle, apparently. And TNC now, they are really starting to take over this map.
Just again, great forward vision coming out from TNC to enable all of that aggression, having that nice forward ward on the top jungle. They still have that ward on the Ancients, and Toy died there last time. He just doesn't feel safe. Probably knows that there's some hidden vision out there. And Motivate.Trust, they need to find a lot more of these fights. They need to find bigger targets. They need to translate that into objectives as well.
I mean, they might find Febby, but this is just not the kill they want. And Febby, he's barely gonna die. Like, it's something for Gotcha, but you know that that's not the kill they want. And Motivate.Trust, they are just not able to find the trades they're looking for.
Yeah, and I mean, that's so much space TNC uses well. They just keep farming up in Young God, they keep building up in Yoe, and there's no one really contesting these two heroes. Young God has been left alone down bot. His Desolator's flying out. He's going for a Blink next. He's feeling really big with his damage output. He has those 2 lives to play with. That just counteracts your control in the Storm, your control in the Bloodseeker, leaving you very little for that second life if you play your cards right on TNC. And while Motivate has been able to find some engagements, they found a Roshan as well. They need to take a tier 1 here, Mike. Bot still stands, mid still stands, top still stands. The map is just too comfy for TNC to play with right now.
Febby's still being a nuisance here. He'll deny off that Arcane Rune now. So things just getting even more annoying for Motivate.Trust. Gotcha. He's going to have a look around for Young God and might actually find it on the Wraith King. Gotcha going to zip through with the Orchid up. They'd love this Wraith King pick up if they can get it. They might find the first life, and they will, but can they find a second? Massa, he's going to show up. Young God, He'll go for the stun out as Massa will keep the chase up for the Wraith King. But now Gacha, he's out of mana and needs to get out of there. As Bok will go for the Rolling Thunder. He'll lock down the Storm, even going all the way to the death. But is it really worth it here for TNC? As Motivate.Trust, they'll just keep going on to Febby. And they should be able to find another. And they will. Not such a bad trade for Motivate whatsoever. As Sunstrike almost lands on Boomboy, taking him down. But Motivate.Trust, they finally get a 2-for-0 trade going their way, and I'm sure they'll be happy about that.
Comes at a pretty big cost. They did have to pop the Dark Ascension and rotate everyone in, but they still find some. This is a lot better than just finding Febby. Still not the ideal. You're not finding Young God and his second life, or Yoe at all in the Invoker. And I think for TNC, as long as you don't drop these two heroes, they get their build up. It's Slippery Spray.
Aegis does expire. Gacha, he's forced to TP away, but the Cold Snap is there from Yoe. Oh, the Aegis just expired. It's perfectly timed from TNC. Poor old Gacha boy, he'll be the victim.
And that just undoes all the good work you did in the last fight. You know, you lose your big target in the Storm. He's the guy that really needs to farm up. You kind of want him to have BKB, maybe even Ags this game just to give you more control. And he's starting to taper off a little bit in that farm. Behind Yoe, not looking the best, only ahead really of Bok, who's had a much slower game because he is dealing with a Bloodseeker counter. But he doesn't need too much in a Pangolier relative to the Storm. So, you know, you're still feeling good here on TNC. 3k leads there up their way. You're still invading that jungle on the top side, cutting off the sources of farm for Toy. Toy does have a much more secure triangle now, with the Obs Ward expiring. And he can get that build-up. He's inching towards that BKB and the Bloodseeker, Mike. And that could be the point where Toy starts to feel a lot more comfy in the front line. Just stand, get some right clicks off, get better use of the Rupture, and start to really help Motivate.Trust find some bigger wins here.
Certainly hope so, John. It just feels like Young God just continues to take over here in this Wraith King, and that's, again, problematic here for Motivate. They are going to group up mid lane, TNC. They'll go for a 4-man smoke up, using Febby as the bait mid lane. He's died a couple times here on the edge, but again, it does take quite a while to take him down. He'll move in to that dire triangle. Toy does not want to get caught out like this again. He's going to rush in for Young God. He'll be there with the follow-up. They'll drop the shackles and the Serpent Wards, trying to take Toy down, or rather protect him. In the meantime, Gacha on the side, taking down Yoe. But Toy has died. They left the Bloodseeker alone as they were chasing down the Invoker. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, is it really worth the Invoker for the Bloodseeker's life?
I think, in a way, it is, just because your Bloodseeker, you know, it's not going to be scaling as hard. You kind of want to give Gacha Boy as much as he can if he does find these kills, and Mas as well, though.
Yeah, the Gripify is going to help Gacha to survive, but I can't say the same for Boomboy. Instead, they're going to move on to Carlo, and they'll be able to find one. Boomboy actually able to survive with the Shadow Amulet he does have. And TNC now, the ones that are trying to get a little bit too aggressive, end up paying for it.
A good punishment coming through from Motivate.Trust. Just finding some big kills, trading away Toy's life, but keeping themselves in the game. You're getting some good gold influx onto your Night Stalker, onto your Storm, which have the utility you need, have the frontline capabilities you need. Even though your Bloodseeker is being sacrificed, it does feel like the impact coming out from these item pickups for Masa is going to be big. He's got his blink up, so it's easier for him to come in, use the Crippling Fear, get a good silence off, set up for his team, have the follow-up for Gacha Boy, and that's something now TNC has to watch out for. Their BKBs aren't quite done. Yo is still saving up for his. Young God's starting that build-up, so there's no spell immunity yet to protect them from that jump, and if they find a good angle, it can work out.
They'll find Febby. Again, he's going to be a bit of a nuisance to try and kill off now with that Hood of Defiance up, but it won't matter. They'll still find him. Spock's actually going to go for the Rolling Thunder, but he's not going to find anything for his trouble. It just seems like a bit of a desperate play from TNC, and it's just not going to amount to anything. So Motivate.Trust, they'll take their pick off, and that'll be enough for them.
Yeah, they can just go back, rinse and repeat, keep some farm up, and maybe look for another opportunity. They do have the Aether Lens up on Tigger, a lot easier to get the shackles off. Wards up in about 1 second, so it's ready to go. They still need to find more objectives, you know, they have the bot tier 1, but they need more if they really want to feel secure in this game. And unfortunately for Motivate.Trust, Roshan is up early for TNC. Already inside, doesn't take too long with the Deso up and Young God and the Alacrity up to really clear out this Rosh.
Well, you really don't want to have to let this go for free here if you are Motivate, but it doesn't seem like they're very well aware that it's actually happening. They do group up together top lane, but it won't matter as TNC. They're going to get themselves a free Aegis and Shards the way of Yoe and Bok. Here we go again. Baby, going to move in already, trying to get the bait going. As Motivate, they are going to take it. They'll zip through Gacha, trying to get the edge, but Boom Boy, he's being caught out in the Pugna. He won't die yet. In fact, Shackles and Serpent Wards have been dropped onto the Wraith King. Gacha, though, he's going to keep trying. In the backside, Toy, he'll chase down Carlo, but the time lapse is going to allow him to survive. As Toy, he'll keep chasing. But Bok is continuing to just rolling thunder around as Massa now will keep up onto the Weaver. Carlo somehow still alive, still rushing away from Massa, who's chasing him down. And we'll finally find him. As it seems like Motivate.Trust, they have the better end of this team fight. They'll keep going after a bit more, but they'll find nobody. TNC, they'll successfully back off, but they still have dropped 2 heroes. Motivate will drop none.
Yeah, it feels really good for Motivate having that kind of fight. They managed to clear out, again, clearing out the Pangolier. Great use of a BKB from Toy to protect himself up front. With that spell immunity up, no control for the Bloodseeker. He's free to disrupt these fights, free to drop some good blood rights to interrupt the casting from TNC. And TNC, for their part, they need some spell protection up soon. They're going to need a BKB on Young God. We've been waiting for that for a while. Yoa as well needs to have his finished up. And once you have that point, it does feel like these fights get a lot better. You have to work your angles. There was some disconnect there. I think I saw a Tornado Sunstrike coming out from Yoa that didn't land on Boomboy. So the Pugna still lived through, had a lot of saves coming out in the middle of these fights, and just made it tougher.
Carlo, he barely survives. My goodness, Carlo. The slither of HP, able to keep going as Gacha. He's forced to BKB up, just in case Bok makes it there in time to stun him. He'll be able to survive, but now with the BKBs down, TNC, they might smoke up again. They should have the advantage against Gacha Boy without the BKB available. Where's the smoke? There it is. Towards the top lane they go. They do see Gacha, and that's the target they know they can pin down as long as they land that initial stun. Gacha should be very well aware he needs to be very careful right now. Is Young God gonna move in, but Gacha, he'll zip away at the right moment. It doesn't seem like they're gonna be able to find him.
Yeah, it's a big commitment out from TNC to get this done, and not finding that kill does slow them down. They could commit for a push instead. They've got a good Harpy smoked up here, flying around, giving them some backline vision on tower. Look at that range it gives, like just all the way for the TP point. Does expire, so they don't really get max value from it, but Motivate.Trust now also clumped up near the mid. They could go for their own smoke play, BKBs up on Toy, and they will go for that smoke.
They will. Motivate.Trust will move in back into their own jungle. They'll miss out on Febby, but we've seen many times they don't really want to try and focus down the Ench first. They'd much rather go for the rest of TNC if they can find them, and in fact they're going to find Bok. Crippling Fear already there. Bok does not have Swashbuckle away. He already committed it to try and farm that neutral camp, so he's going to pay with his own life, it seems like. He is immediately down, and they've spotted out Carlo. They land the dust, and even with the time lapse, it may not matter, as eventually Carlo is going to drop to Massa Ross. TNC, they're still grouped up around that T1 tower, but it's still very dangerous as Yoe is going to try and jump in. They spot out Massa with the Sunstrike, and they're going to be able to get him. Not a bad pickup for TNC now, as they'll try to turn back onto Motivate. But it seems like Motivate are going to leave the building. It's Febby. He'll keep going for a chase and does actually land the enchant. That's going to force out the BKB TP away. Toy is successfully going to be able to get away. It's still a very back and forth game between these two teams.
Yeah, it's a lot closer than I think a lot of people would expect. 9-16, but TNC still hold on to a slight net worth lead. They're still finding some good exchanges. Motivate.Trust just been pumping out the aggression with these BKBs, Mike. You know, they've been jumping in really well with Massa and Gacha Boy, finding some really good angles with those BKBs. But these fights have been so far away from towers that they still haven't made progress on tier 1s, haven't been able to shove in that bot tier 2. And the side of TNC are just able to capitalize. Top tier 2 of Motivate.Trust doesn't take too much to fall. They've got the skeletons from the Wraith King, they've got the summons from the Ench. It's very easy to take those objectives, and with that, top tier 2 gone, outpost gets taken, top jungle still safe, and TNC will smoke off the back of that as well.
Yeah, Carlo gonna find Gacha immediately, but they don't really have the... Oh, maybe they do. Gacha, he's forced to BKB up as Gacha. He'll keep moving. They found Yoe, but he's still finding the Invoker. In fact, Boom Boy, he's the one in trouble. They'll get Carlo and Boom Boy down. It's gonna be a 1-for-1 on the supports. It seems like they just did not want to aim Yoe as he still had that Aegis up. Just waiting for it to expire, but in the end, they'll just end up with the support trade and that'll be enough.
Not the biggest loss for either side. Would have been an opportunity for Motivate if they did just commit onto Yoe. They didn't have that much time left on the Aegis. But they didn't have their full force there for Motivate.Trust. Just made that fight a little bit too unpredictable for their end. So play it safe, go back, retake your outpost, and just kind of reassert their control on their top jungle. Next Roshan, still 2.5 minutes until we see that respawn timer. Motivate wants to make sure they've got an outpost there to just have that control, have the ability to contest. Aside of TNC though, working the map well, just keeping the shove in onto the tier 2s. Again, they can always summon the Wraith King skeletons, keep the push going. They can always use the Enchantress creeps as well. And they get another Dark Troll Summoner. So skeletons would rally back up. They could just commit them to an objective right now.
I mean, this creep, doesn't matter what stage of the game it is, it's just so busted. Svebi gonna move in with the skeletons of Young God. You are going to have Toy there though to protect with the Blood Ride, and that should be enough to scare these skeletons off. It's the rest of Motivate.Trust. They're going to smoke up and try to go into their own triangle. They may run right into Young God here on this Wraith King if they can. He does have a BKB up. Instead, they'll try out to Bok. Bok, he's dropping so darn low, so darn quickly. They've already found one as now Young God. He's a much, much bigger target. And it looks like he may just lose his first life. In fact, never mind. He's still alive. Massa, he went onto Yoe once again. On that Invoker, they might just have him, and they do. And now with the first life gone on Young God, they can just keep going as Motivate.Trust look for a big cleanup, and they'll get Carlo. Young God still running back towards the base, but Massa will keep stalking. Just won't matter, though, with the Shadow Blade up. It's like Young God will be fine to walk away. But Motivate.Trust more than happy to just aim everybody else and leave the Wraith King to be.
Just smart plays coming out from Motivate. They finally take a fight towards a tower that they can transition to. They take that tier 1 mid, opening up the Roshan in their favor a little bit better now. And aside of TNC, it's just a bit too disconnected. They don't manage to save Bok. They need that Rolling Thunder for these team fights. He doesn't manage to ride through. Doesn't have a way of staying alive. No BKB, only the Lincolns to protect. So when Moss is on top, the silence ruins him.
Oh, they miss out on Toy. Young God, he goes for the kill on Boom Boy, but he kind of delays the Wraithfire Blast flying out onto Toy, so he's going to be just fine. Still, 11 to 20, Motivate.Trust still with the kill and gold lead, but it's very, very close. They are going to move into that mid-tier 2 tower now. They still have some very, very fast push here with the Enchanted Creeper and the Skeletons. That's one thing Motivate.Trust are going to struggle to try and control throughout this game 1. TNC always have that push ability, and if you don't have the Blood right there from Toy to protect, the towers are just as good as gold.
Yeah, you don't have the best wave clear coming out from the rest of the lineup. Oh, gotcha, boy.
Yeah, Carlo going to be found out again, but this time Bok is ready with the Rolling Thunder. Problem is Carlo's already gone, and now they knock him away from the Sunstrike. So Gacha, he just BKB TPs out, and I think they'll just be satisfied with killing off the Weaver for now.
Yeah. Again, not the biggest kill. Forcing out the BKB from Gotcha Boy could be a bigger deal. Roche is back up. TNC's in position to take this. Without the BKB on the Storm, it becomes a bit harder for Gotcha Boy to just zip in and contest. And a minute's a pretty long time for Roche. TNC's going to be able to take second Roshan. Motivate.Trust a bit too far from contesting. And that is Roche number 3 with the cheese and a refresh up now. So a lot of utility coming out here for TNC. And this feels just pretty tough for Motivate.Trust. They've got to eat through 2 lives of Yoe, 2 lives of Young God. Have to deal with the refresh coming out here on Yoe again. So double use of all the spells. It's going to be great. Fortunately, no double kata. That means painful to control though.
Yeah, they've got the AoE Vortex now out with the Axe out onto the Storm, but they might lose that Storm straight off the bat as Gacha still dropping. Needs a way to survive, but he doesn't have it. Oh, he doesn't have it. Gacha. Well, at least they do end up finding Young God's first life, but Toy's forced to TP away with the BKB. Yoe, you'll just keep chasing Tigger and Boom Boy. But Gacha's down without buyback gold, John. that might be a lane of barracks here for TNC.
Yeah, it is going to be. Like, without the Storm to fight, you're solely relying on Masa to jump in. He does have the AC up, he feels pretty tanky, but you need that additional AoE control from the Storm.
We don't have a creep wave right now. That's the one kind of negative for TNC, is Masa has already cleared the creep wave in the mid lane. It may not matter though. They still get through the tier 3 tower and they might have enough time to get through this Raxus. Look at that. With the Alacrity, Young God has no issues as they move top lane. Garcha still about 23 seconds away from respawning. It's going to be quite a long time. And TNC, again with the Alacrity on Young God, are not going to make these Raxus take very long. They'll find the second one straight off the bat. Tigger, all he can do is push them away. That's about all that can happen. Is Motivate. They have no defense without Garcha.
No, and that's the turning point, right? Like, if you lose one fight, the high ground just absolutely melts. They are still protected from Megas by the tier 2 bot here. TNC still needs to get to work on that objective. But they're in a really good position now, Mike. 2 racks is up. They still have Aegis for about 3 minutes here. They've still got this fresh Aeon Disc up on box, so your Pangolier should be able to survive through and at least cast his spells before going away. And that just gives a lot more angles out for TNC. Motivate, their high ground hold is good. We've seen a little bit of that Storm Ags. We need to see Gacha Boy get bigger angles with a Vortex. And if he doesn't find it, it just feels like these team fights start to fall apart, especially if he's caught off guard. Has to be on point with the BKB use as well, and Motivate will go for a smoke play here.
It could be their last one if they're not too careful. John Garcha still does not have the buyback gold available, but he's going to find Carlo. Still Yoe going to be around to try and protect us. Now Garcha forced to pop the BKB early, and Carlo, he's going to survive with the time lapse. He can keep this team fight going. Massa just trying to chase down Febby, but that's not going to work out either. As Febby hands the tips over, and now Garcha Boy, he's been caught out. Young God's in. Do they have the detection though? The Storm's still just walking away. In fact, now Toy, he's going to man fight against Young God. The Wraith King gonna lose his first life. Is Tigger in the tree line in big trouble. Major Stromp and will, but he'll buy it back. They want to keep the fight going. Garcha's gonna go for a reset as Febby's still alive on the engine. Now Massaros, he's the one in trouble with the cold snap. He's just trying to run away, but it may not be enough. Garcha, he'll zip right through. Young God ends up going down as now Yoe. He'll drop to boot. At least the first life. And they'll find a second. So Motivate.Trust able to keep Garcha alive with, I believe it was a Glimmer Cape from the Pugna. Had that not happened, John, that may have just been it.
My heart.
Yeah, like that save on Gacha Boy just gave them that angle back in, giving them the opportunity to use that Vortex. They should be able to find Carlo. That's a full team wipe coming out for the side of Motivate.Trust, and they managed to hold on. Their tier 4s are under siege by super creeps. We're gonna have to try and stop that, and Boomboy is trying to get that work done, but the siege creep should still be able to get some good chip damage on the tier 4s. TNC have to be a bit cautious about how far they go there, Mike. They kind of split up that fight. It feels like they're focusing on a lot of different targets rather than committing onto one. And that chaos just plays into what Motivate.Trust wants. There is a lack of control on TNC. If they don't manage to just focus on the roll target, it does feel like going on everyone else one by one just doesn't give them enough of a burst window to handle them. So a heads up play for Motivate.Trust to split that fight up a little bit more, spread themselves out a bit, and giving them this opportunity to hold on. It's still a tough game for them to come back into. They have multiple tier 2s to worry about. There's still a tier 1 up top. They're down 2 sets of racks. They're down not too much in net worth, but you do start to wonder about the scaling of this Bloodseeker. He does have a Scotty Basher up, so this is the point where I suppose the Bloodseeker does feel like a proper core with a lot of attack speed coming out with the Blood Rage. But it does feel like this game has been boiling down to Gacha Boy and Masa. You know, they've been the big deciders in these fights. It's their control, it's their jumps in that set up these engagements for Motivate.Trust, and we need to see them just continuously deliver those goods. You know, we're still at a really weird point where Gacha Boy, he does have buyback up, but it's not much gold surplus there. And I'm wondering where he goes next with itemization. A lot of room to grow. Could just synthesize the Ags and free up a slot, maybe sell one of his nulls, built into that Hex. And once you have even more of that control in the Storm, it starts to feel pretty tough for TNC, solely off the back of the fact that they don't have the most mobile initiation here. They have Rolling Thunder Blink, that's it.
Also got a nullifier now up on Massa. Massa looking to move in. Young God. Gonna see them, but they'll get the detection down early, and they will see the Wraith King now. So Motivate just waiting very patiently as they'll move in with the Hex out. Vortex there from Garcha. They've got 2 targets. Toy, he's doing a lot of damage right now. Young God, he might be in trouble. He'll have to man fight back here against the Bloodseeker, but it's way too tough. The first life will go the way of Motivate, but now can they survive the secondary as Young God? He's in. Boom Boy's already gone. They're trying for Toy. He will barely survive on the Bloodseeker, and Garcha, he moves in for another massive Vortex onto TNC. They found nowhere. Febby and Young God, they're all gone. Motivate.Trust now can keep going as Box the only one left. Oh boy. The Massa and Garcha boy, they'll get it done themselves. Massive Vortex, massive crippling fear. TNC, they overstay their welcome and they end up paying for it.
Yeah, that was really awkward. It looked like a good start for TNC. It looked like they found a pretty good angle, but they only really find Boomboy, and he just buys back, gets back in, gets healing his team. There's a little bit of hesitation coming out from Young God. Like, he almost had Toy turned away, allowing Toy to run out. I believe Wraithfire was going to be off cooldown. And because Toy lived, he just jumps back in, waits for someone to die, gets healed up, and the fight just snowballs all the way back to Motivate.Trust. TNC, we're seeing some of those issues that we've seen from them throughout this tour, Mike. You know, some of these mid to late game decisions just feel awkward, right? Like, they could have just gone all in, focused on Toy first, take him out, cleaned up afterwards, and suddenly that buyback on the Pugna doesn't feel as impactful in sustaining the entire team because your big core is dead with a Basher. But they're given this opportunity and they find more.
Yeah, they're gonna find Febby. Not the biggest kill, but it's certainly even more here for Motivators. Now Massa giving the tip back over to Febby. You never forget when somebody tips you here, John. They are gonna be around to try and defend on TNC Predator. But it's a rather hard task, and Motivate.Trust, they will not back off. They'll get the tier 2 mid tower, no problem. And still, while they are 2 Raxes behind, they are clawing their way back into this game number 1. An 11k net worth lead here for Motivate.Trust. And we've seen them come back from multiple games where they are 2 Raxes down. So this is none the surprising here for Motivate.
Yeah, they're doing it again. This is, again, reminiscent of the old Motivate.Trust when they still had Jackie and Q, where they just have the slower start, come back in with some farm, start taking these massive fights. And I feel like that's where Motivate.Trust shines. They just make these great calls towards late, or mid to late game. They know their target prioritization. They know where to go for, what angles to work in these fights, and it's the exact opposite for TNC. It just feels too scattered coming in. It doesn't feel as coordinated. They're focusing on multiple heroes. They don't even find the big kills they need. And Motivate.Trust just manages to always find a numbers advantage when they engage. Even after losing support, buy back, come back in, and clean up. I think TNC, they have to work together as a team here. Basher up on Bach helps up the cause. So a lot more usability from the Swash, but you also have a Basher up on Mata. So, you know, your Night Stalker can also just jump in, back up the Bloodseeker's Basher, keep everyone pinned down through the BKBs. It gets a little bit scary here for TNC, Mike. I mean, they're still in a good position map-wise. You know, their high ground hasn't been under siege. They still have a tier 2 top lane. And, you know, Motivate.Trust are still down 2 racks, but this network lead is becoming really tough for them to play with. And they need to find a good fight. That's all they need in TNC. If they find that good fight, the high ground opens up, they could go for tier 4 sword and megas either way.
Well, they've got the Swift Blink up now for Young God, so it seems like TNC want to try and go for that big fight now. Roshan's up in 30 seconds, so Young God gonna move in. Massa already popped the Crippling Fear and Dark Ascension, but he's alone. He's waiting for his team to kind of make their way over and try to force this fight, but they've lost the BKB out. In the meantime, Young God, he's on the cliff.
What?
Oh, he's blinked right on top of the cliff. That is not what you want to see. As now the Vortex comes out. They'll take him out on the high ground. He's got no way down here, John. How do you get down? Garcha Boy's gonna move in along with Massaros as Young God's gone. He just bought the Swift Blink.
Yeah, that's... I have no words. That is just unfortunate. Maybe trying to get the max range blink, misses the mark, ends up high. And now Motivate.Trust has like an 80-second window where they can take Roche, they can pressure high ground themselves there. Still being shoved in by these super creeps, but it's not going to be enough without any backup. And with this full complement coming out from Roshan, the Ags blessing the refresh and cheese along the Aegis, it becomes a tough prospect for TNC. They back off on Motivate.Trust's end though.
Boys, what are you doing?
Why? Come on, guys, clean it up. Get that Ags. I want to see where this Ags goes, Mike. Cause give it to Toy. Give it to Toy. No, please give it to Toy. Please let him use it. Please. No, he passes it. On to Tigger. This is a smart play, of course. Serpent Ward's upgrade. Gonna feel a lot better. But man, can't I at least see Blood Mist in one pro game, Mike? Can't I?
Well, it's kind of a garbage ability, John. I don't think anyone wants it.
Look, no. Listen to this, Mike. You turn on Blood Mist. You have the Pugna to life drain you, so you don't lose that 5% HP per second. Isn't that great? That sounds pretty cool.
Sounds pretty stupid to me, John. Bit of a weird one, that Roshan, as well. I mean, I appreciate the Dark Ascension being popped to get vision around the pit, just in case they're going to go for a dive, but at the same time, TNC being 2 heroes down, it felt kind of doubtful that they were ever going to go for that. I guess they kind of had to be fair, but they did not even choose to. Now another smoke up. Hopefully Young God blinks the right way this time around, as they are going to rush into the outpost. Toy going to be noticed straight away, but he'll go for the rough shot. They found the Weaver already, but Young God moves in onto the Shaman. Decrepify, it's not going to save his Bok. He'll get the job done. And TNC, they've got one hero down with that buyback, as now they're going to find Masseros on the Night Stalker. That's not a target you really want to lose right now. The Decrep up again. Boom Boy, he'll be the one chased down by Young God. He doesn't have detection, but it won't matter. They'll still find Masseros. He does have buyback, so he should be just fine to rejoin for this defense. But if you're TNC Predator, you want to put a lid on this game right here, right now.
Yeah, you got a pressure advantage. No buyback in Shadow Shaman. That is pretty big. A lot of that good hold with the Hex and the Shackles is taken out. And they will go for the safe play, going for the Mega Creeps first. They still have to deal with this massive Vortex from Gotcha Boy. He's been really good on point with that usage. Let's see if he finds a good angle to keep that defense up here.
Yeah, tier 3 tower not going to last very long, especially with that swift link up. Oh, that's a great Hex out, Gotcha! Oh, he's been caught. They're trying to save him. Gotcha Boy, he's barely going to survive. He'll get the cheese off, and now he'll move in. Yo is gone. Maybe they can defend this for Toy. He's going to lose the Aegis, but now the Rolling Thunder's there. They've got the first life of the Wraith King, and somehow Gotcha, he's still trying, still moving in as Young God. He'll go for the man fight onto the Bloodseeker as Fox just permanently stunning him up. Toy's gone. He'll buy back. They've got Young God down. Maybe this is the team fight for Motivate, but Gotcha Boy, he will finally die. It's a 3 for 3, or rather a 3 for 4, but the buybacks are incoming. TNC, they want to try and finish this game off right here and now. Gotcha gonna zip in already, but the Run of Atos gonna hold him down, and he has no BKB available. It's still gonna be fine. The rest of TNC, they are taking their time here, John, but Young God's gonna find a double damage. It's probably worth taking the longer route, as they are going to move in for that final lane of barracks now. Surely.
Yeah, it should open it up. Should open it up. It's on backs against the rope here for both sides. If Motivate.Trust somehow hold up, there are a lot of buybacks in TNC committed. They could just easily push up themselves, try to rush the Ancient here. They will smoke up for this defense, trying to look for the angle. TNC with the buybacks are still taking it slow.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure about that. And you bought back, you kind of want to find something besides farm. They are maybe looking for a pick off first. They don't have any forward vision to really align with that. And they're going to take the outpost instead. So this gives Motivate.Trust time to regroup. Just kind of figure out their positioning here. Maybe venture out with that smoke. We'll see if they do find an angle. The scan does spot them out. They aren't going to be able to find as much. TNC, cautious play here, Mike, but again, if they do lose that fight, it kind of turns Motivate.Trust's way, so maybe safety is the best bet. And now we're kind of in an awkward spot where both teams kind of commit buybacks, and Motivate.Trust can't really be the aggressors. It's really TNC that are in the position to do so, but taking the safer play just feels awkward. Like, you do want to be aggressive, but it's understandable why you'd play it safe, but then you ask yourself, why even buy back at that point?
I asked the same question here, John. I'm very confused in this game 1. Now Motivate, look at Gacha John. He's going for the classic March play. All mangoes queued up here in the quick buy, and he's got the refresher orb and Ags up. So it's all about the mangoes now for Gacha.
Yep.
I mean, why not?
That's what you want, you know, just constant mana regen. I don't know why you need it. You've got a Pugna, you know, like you just get the life drain from the little green guy. Just have him cheer you on. That's enough to fill your belly up there, Gotcha Boy. You don't need a million mangoes here. If only we had a mango tree still alive, like, you know. I missed that time.
So do I, John.
Great neutral.
I'm over here.
It really was.
That's what enabled March to have those 12 mangoes in his inventory. Yeah, a Slardar with 12 mangoes force feeding your Medusa. You don't see that every day, Mike.
Oh, I wish we still had that clip. It was just too good to be true. TNC, I mean, they're currently waiting right now on the low ground, hoping Motivate.Trust makes a mistake. Very, very patient from TNC is Toy. He's going to have a scout around now with this ninja gear. Another double damage rune going to be spotted out, this time by Carlo, who, by the way, has picked up a full nullifier on the POS 5 Weaver. Rather, the POS 4 Weaver. So he'll take his outpost back. Young God will pick up the DD rune, and I really do think it's time for TNC to try and move. It's not every day you're going to find a DD.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big damage spike for them. They're not in position to work the bot lane, but they're mid and top is shoving in by super creeps anyway. So they could try to sneak around, take the mega creeps, force a fight. And they'll just farm. I don't know. This is still probably the strangest buyback circumstance I've seen. I get why Motivate.Trust did. It felt like they were pressured to defend. And then TNC responds with buybacks as well and just sits. You know, it's again pretty awkward because they've got this window of vulnerability where they don't have buybacks and they didn't make use of the buybacks really, except for farming. Maybe that farm's all they need, but I don't see anything imminent for Young God. The Yoa is working towards travel, so that could be nice. Has his Hex, has his Aeon Disc as well, so he's feeling pretty secure on the Invoker. And that does help the cause out, but could be stalling out for next Roche here, Mike. Still a minute away, and then we'll see the respawn time. TNC is set up for a really good Roshan, to be fair. And if they do manage to find it, I guess that compensates for the buybacks.
It's kind of a weird situation as well for Motivate, right? Like, you're trying to acquire more farm on Toy, but it's still a Bloodseeker. Like, we've seen him man-fight the Wraith King many times, and he just can't win out. Which is fair, because the hero matchup just is not in his favor. Yeah, I think you are correct. I mean, TNC is certainly just waiting for the next Roshan. Still 10 seconds till we find out when it does respawn, but they do have that enchanted creep just waiting to give vision here from Febby. So it's going to be a 5-man smoke now from Motivate. Roshan's going to be 1 minute away now as Motivate. They're going to try and move in. They've already found the Wraith King. They've locked him down along with Tigger. That's going to be the first life gone already. A great start for Motivate.Trust. Toy, however, in big, big trouble, is gone. Oh, he doesn't have buyback gold. I guess it was on cooldown anyway. It won't matter too much for TNC. They'll keep going. Trying to find another. They might have to settle on Tigger. But it's still a great kill here onto the Shadow Shaman. In fact, Boom Boy even going to be caught here by Bok, who just keeps going. And this could be it for the game one, number one. As there's 2 down without buyback. Motivate.Trust, they try to make it work. TNC, they don't recognize there's no buybacks available, so they're going to go for the TNC, come on now. I mean, come on now.
Alright.
The Ancient's open.
Mike, you know?
No, the Ancient's open, John.
It is.
You're going to force buybacks anyway.
They're playing safe, Mike. They want to be sure. It's been such a back and forth that you might as well ensure that the win is your way. And here we go. On to the Ancient. Can Gotcha Boy pull off magic? They've got the buyback here.
Well, backdoor protection's going to kick in. I mean, it is against the Storm, to be fair. This is what Storm does now. They can't get through it. Okay, oh, now they can. The creep wave is here. Never mind. They're going to go after the Ancient as Tigger is going to make the jump in onto Yoe, but Young God's just ignoring everything. So trying to lock him down with the shackles, slow him down from taking this Ancient out, but he's going after the Ancient. He doesn't care about anything else. He'll just keep getting disabled up here by Tigger, but eventually we'll find the killer's Young God now. He's had enough. He'll go on to Massa, but he's going to lose the first life of the Ancient. Is going to go down, and Motivate.Trust will end up losing game 1 here to TNC. And John, would you believe it? Another game where Bloodseeker just doesn't win.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a tough hero in terms of scaling. Its timings are weird. It counteracted the Pango, sure, but it did have a pretty good spike, I'll admit. Like the Basher Scotty timing was pretty darn good, but everywhere else is a bit tough. It really felt like it was more on like Gotcha Boy and Masa here, right? Like they jump in, they have these good Vortex, good AoE, silence coming through with a Void, and Motivate.Trust managed to hold on for a long time. TNC do find a condition back. You know, they punish the buybacks eventually, and they managed to go onto the high ground. They have really great push for the Enchantress and the Wraith King, and managed to get going from there. They had pretty good lanes coming out, although Motivate.Trust did have better time in CS. TNC was finding the aggression. So it's a lot more even than I think a lot of people expected between TNC and Motivate. Again, for TNC, this is their chance to stay in. For Motivate, it's their chance to solidify their position in Div 2 to stay on for the next tour as well. So a lot on the line for both teams. We'll see if Motivate.Trust can kind of force that game 3 here, Mike.
We shall, John. We are going to head to a short 10-minute break, and of course, right after that break, we'll be back with game 2 between TNC Predator and, of course, Motivate.Trust. We'll see you then.